November 28th, 1983, almost a year to the day before I was born, November 27th, 1984. November 28th, 1983. That was a big day for Boy George and fans of the band Culture Club. They were coming off the worldwide success of their hit Karma Chameleon. That song was actually written about our lovely vice president, the ultimate chameleon, Kamala Harris. She is an expert at adapting to her surroundings. Sometimes she's French, sometimes she identifies as Native American. When needed, she also chooses to identify as a strong black woman. But coming off the success of Karma Chameleon, Culture Club, they released another song that was decades ahead of its time. This song was not released as a single here in the United States. Back in 1983, it was only a big hit internationally, but it definitely applies to American culture today. This is the theme song of the woke movement. It is a simple one-word title: Victims. The month of March is set aside to celebrate women, or as the wanker spankers like to call them, victims. We celebrated the victim status of Mina Kimes all week this week. We celebrated women's college basketball. We celebrated WNBA dump divers as they came up with a brilliant strategy to increase television ratings by handing out job applications to men to fill positions in the dump. In the midst of all these celebrations, there has been one marginalized group that's been overlooked. One group of special women who felt slighted by this oversight. These ambitious victims, they decided to take matters into their own hands. They put their collective brain cell together to formulate a strategy to get them noticed. They desperately wanted your attention, so they did what shitfucks do best. They took an innocent situation, an honest mistake, and turned it into a crusade against mythical misogyny and mythical racism. It's been a while since we have talked about the pretend kickball players in the NWSL. I have some great news. I'm sure you guys will be just as excited as I was when I realized the NWSL regular season starts today. Yippee! I love watching women who hate men play with balls. This is a big weekend for the NWSL. By the time this video is uploaded, the game will have already started between the North Carolina Cucumbers and the Kansas City Birthing Persons. The remainder of the exciting games on the schedule will take place tomorrow, in front of crowds of dozens of letters from the alphabet. With the NWSL regular season kicking off, I am sure this desperate plea for attention was just a coincidence. I am sure this attempted victimization of pretend kickballers had nothing to do with the fact that the regular season starts this weekend. It's not like the NWSL needs media attention. It's not like they need free promotion. Everyone is excited. Everyone has been talking about the NWSL this week, right? This all started Wednesday afternoon with Sydney Leroux. KC, who in the hell is Sydney Leroux? According to her Twitter bio, she kicks balls. Now notice I said this started Wednesday afternoon. This league is so irrelevant, it took the woke media 48 hours to notice the victims. Sydney Leroux is a self-proclaimed star in the NWSL. She wants you to know that she's mad, real mad. I don't understand why. This should be a time of celebration. Thanks to the Peter Beaters at EA Sports, we were given the opportunity this week to celebrate another first. As you guys know, the shitfucks love a first. Every year, FIFA, EA Sports, they release a video game dedicated to soccer. It features players from Major League Soccer. Perhaps it even features players from the Premier League over in Europe. I don't know. What I do know, the game has always featured men. For the first time ever, the game that was released this year, it featured the ladies from the NWSL. Now this should be great news, right? This should be a time to celebrate the progress these legendary athletes have made. From purely a business perspective, I don't understand what EA Sports is doing here. It takes millions of dollars to develop and produce a video game. In order to receive a return on that investment, you need tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people to purchase the game. With the NWSL, They can't even get 100,000 people to watch this damn league on television. If you Google ratings for the NWSL, they boast about the fact that 915,000 people watched the championship game last year on CBS. Now, I'm not going to lie. That is a decent number. It's horrible for broadcast television. CBS typically averages between 2, 3, 4 million viewers, but for the NWSL, that is a really good number. Now, if you try to find ratings for their regular season, good luck. Supposedly, ratings were up 16%, but for some reason, no one provides the viewership numbers. My point is, though, if very few people are consistently watching this league on television, what makes EA Sports think hundreds of thousands of people will spend $80, $90, $100 for a game featuring players in a league that no one is watching? When video games are initially released, they feature plenty of bugs, plenty of mistakes, glitches. I believe they call these releases the beta versions. They release the game, players will report the errors, EA Sports, they fix the mistakes, and they release an update. When EA Sports released the game, they didn't have the physical profiles completed for all the players from the NWSL. Now, what happens in this case? The game will default to a generic player. It's a generic bald dude. Well, these days, it could be a generic bald woman or bald non-binary sphincter. God only knows how this fake video game character chooses to identify. The point is, it's a damn generic character. This should not be a big deal, unless, of course, you identify as a victim. Check it out for yourself. I know we're supposed to be grateful that we are finally featured in a video game, but this is a waste of my time. Look at this depiction of me. I'm bald! Well, in the defense of EA Sports, I am sure there are plenty of bald women or bald men pretending to be women who play in the NWSL. So to be fair, it's not like they missed the mark too bad here. Sydney Leroux, she was not the only complainer. Players from across the pretend kickball league were all complaining about their appearance. My hair color is wrong. They have me as a blonde when I just finished dyeing my hair purple. My lipstick is the wrong color. They forgot to feature my face tattoo of the supersized cucumber pointing towards my facial orifice. It was nothing but bitching and complaining about a simple glitch that also happened to affect the men. There were Major League Soccer players who defaulted to this generic character. I searched the media. I searched through Twitter, looking for one player from Major League Soccer that complained about it. Guess how many I found? None. Now you gotta remember, the women of the NWSL, they have been begging for 2 or 3 years now for increased exposure. They have been begging for media attention. They have been begging for acceptance. Here we have EA Sports giving them free exposure. I would imagine they are also being paid for their image and likeness. And you want to turn a simple glitch into a case of mythical misogyny and mythical racism? Within a few hours, EA Sports fixed the image of Sydney Leroux. How did she respond? With another complaint, of course. Check it out for yourself. I know of a better solution to this problem. Since the ladies of the NWSL are complaining about being depicted as a bald white birthing person, how about they default to a real woke woman, like this beauty right here? That way, everyone is satisfied. Obviously, the inclusion of the NWSL by EA Sports is nothing but a virtue signal. Clearly, developers, they know absolutely nothing about this league. Even when they tried to get images of the players right, they were still wrong. The NWSL Players Union, they released a statement to CNN, which is confusing in its own right. If I'm releasing a public statement, I want to make sure people see it. No one sees anything from CNN because no one is watching the network. But I guess it kind of makes sense. Here we have a collaboration between the NWSL and CNN, two organizations no one gives a shit about. In this press release, the NWSL Players Union demanded immediate action from EA Sports. We insist on immediate action to rectify this violation of the woke commandments. The portrayals of birthing persons of color who choose to identify as women are both offensive and inauthentic. You want to know what's inauthentic? This fake outrage. There is absolutely nothing offensive about this. You know what I would do if I were EA Sports? Since you want to complain about your image, there's a simple solution to the problem. I will just remove your league from the game altogether. That way, you have no reason to be triggered. You have no reason to be offended. There is a trend prevalent throughout women's sports. They can't build an audience based on merit. They can't build an audience based on the product on the court or on the field. So, what they're trying to do, they're trying to build an audience through sympathy. How often do we hear dump divers in the WNBA complaining about salaries, complaining about travel conditions? How often do we see players in the NWSL complaining about misogyny, mythical racism, or, in this case, a glitch in a meaningless video game? The reason they do this, they know this is the only way to get attention, to get exposure. It takes absolutely no talent to be offended. There is no talent needed to be a victim. If I wanted your sympathy, if I wanted to be a victim, I could show you comments that get caught by the YouTube filter of people disrespecting me in one way or another. Matter of fact, just the other day, I received an email from a viewer who's been watching the channel for about a year or so. He said something to the effect of, some of your videos aren't as good as they were. The background isn't as good and the content and humor are inferior. Now, I could have lashed out. I could have been offended by what he said, but I wasn't. I asked him, what videos are you talking about? As it turns out, I overlooked a key word in his sentence, older. He was talking about older videos from 2020, 2021. He explained that to me. I told him he was probably right. I am sure videos from 2-3 years ago suck when compared to what I produce today. I didn't have a mentor when I started out. I didn't have anyone showing me the way. It took me time to grow and develop. If you want to be offended, if you want to be a victim, you can twist anything into fake outrage. People with talent don't need to victimize themselves to be successful. The success of Mina Kimes directly tied to diversity, equity, and inclusion. If she was not a minority woman, she would not be working at ESPN. The NWSL, the WNBA, they are constantly pleading for your sympathy, and they still can't succeed. Sympathy only carries you so far. At some point, you have to provide value to your audience. Soccer in the NWSL, it might be great. It might be excellent. I don't know. I've never watched. I've actually grown to like soccer. As you guys know, my girlfriend's daughter plays at the high school level, even though she's only in the 8th grade. I have learned a lot about soccer. I enjoy watching it, but I will never give the NWSL a chance. I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way. I won't give them a chance because they present themselves as victims. Or, in the case of Megan Rapinoe, they present themselves as fake men. Why would I want to watch fake men when I could just watch real men? Give me your thoughts. The NWSL finally receives the exposure they have been begging for, and they complain about it. They twist a glitch in a video game into a case of mythical misogyny and mythical racism. Do you think behavior like this has a negative impact on the league? Do you think people refuse to watch the NWSL or the WNBA because players in both leagues constantly portray themselves as victims? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, kc_btl84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.